Total nightmare. I would not wish this on my worst enemy for anyone. There are so many people that are suffering because of it, whether it's health symptoms, issues that we have with planning. Support from government departments just isn't there.
On the weekend, mate, we had the opportunity to visit Crookwell, which is in the Upper Lachlan Shire of New South Wales.
Beautiful part of the country, mate.
Sure is. And we saw the impact of what happens when ideology lends itself to greed, where moral justification becomes a tool for exploitation and nothing is too much in the name of green industrialisation.
3, 2, 1.
So thank goodness we took Cheryl's invitation to Crookwell up for their community meeting, mate.
It was brilliant, mate.
How good was it?
Yeah, excellent.
Not very often you see a meeting go for 4 or 5 hours and everybody pretty much be glued to their seat.
Yep, and normally 4 or 5 hours I would be bored shitless, but no, it went really quick.
It did. It flew. Yeah.
It was great.
And how good's Cheryl, right? She's organised it. She's done Zoom meetings with people from Europe, from Queensland and from Sydney. She's prepared all the food. She's fed 100, 150 people.
Yeah.
Amazing host.
Brilliant.
She did a great job.
She done a fantastic job.
And she let us stay in their fantastic cabin on their property.
Yeah, it was great.
You couldn't ask for a nicer pair of hosts than Cheryl and...
Actually, every single person we met, it must be something about country people, but they were all brilliant.
Were they?
They were really friendly.
Yeah, I agree. Not one person was a downer at all, even though they're going through some of the toughest years of their life.
Yeah, God.
They were still upbeat.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be in some of their shoes.
No, exactly right. So I guess the first question we've got to answer is, how did it affect us?
Yeah, well...
Because we were nervous, weren't we?
We were. Well, I thought for sure, but...
Mainly because we're old and weak.
Yeah. I felt okay. I wasn't but then I was only there for really that night.
24 hours.
Not even 24 hours when you think. We were only there.
20 hours. I got to say, mate, I had no effects whatsoever. But they do say it can take up to 7 days to impact you. So the easiest thing in the world for us to do would have been to chuck one on and pretend that we were in the middle of the night and suffering from infrasound. We got up at 12 or 1 in the morning and went out and went to listen. But unfortunately for us, on the night we were there, it was really foggy and misty rain.
Not see. You couldn't see it 3 feet in front of you.
Yeah, so we couldn't see the red lights, couldn't see the towers at all.
Yeah.
So tonight we're going to play the interview that we did with Cheryl, which was the last interview we did up there. Cheryl was the one, obviously, who hosted us. And it's a fairly lengthy interview. It's about 14 minutes, but it's well worth watching from start to finish. And she talks through the financial impact. She talks through the health impacts and the community impacts, and really spells it out for anybody who's thinking about becoming a neighbour to one of these wind farms. So why don't we jump into that?
Yep, that sounds great, mate.
Thanks so much for having us, Cheryl.
Not a problem. Welcome.
On your beautiful property. You're very lucky. Well, you were very lucky.
We're very lucky.
Yep. So you've had 3 wind farms built around you, one right neighbouring your property.
Yep.
Tell us what it's been like to...
So originally they built Crookwell 2 wind farm. When it came online, they were starting to obviously develop and build this other one beside us, which is Crookwell 3. Total nightmare. I would not wish this on my worst enemy for anyone. There are so many people that are suffering because of it, whether it's health symptoms, issues that we have with planning. Support from government departments just isn't there. You were there last night with us for the event.
Yep.
We send invites out to a lot of politicians right across the board, and all we got was, for those who decided to answer, was a sorry, I've got something else on. They just don't seem to want to know about what is actually happening to the communities in rural areas because of these developments.
The council there, which is the start.
Yeah, which was good to have them there.
Yeah.
They've been really supportive.
No government or corporate support there whatsoever last night. And the message that we got loud and clear, and people will see with our interviews, was exactly the same from everybody. We heard the same thing, it's spoken in different terms, but the same thing, same message over and over again.
Yep.
So when was the nearest wind tower, which is only about 1 kilometre from your place, when did that go up?
So that started in operation the end of November 24. They came online. We had no idea because we were told that they were going to, all we would see was probably the tips of 2 off to the northwest of our property.
Right.
And as you see...
There's more than 2 in sight.
Yeah, we have 10 lining the ridge line, and the closest is about 1.485 k's away from the actual house. And there's a lot of them, and they cause us absolute grief.
So you talk about, I mean, there's a lot of people say it's a NIMBY effect, you know. A lot of people say not in my backyard, but this is not about the aesthetics. It's not about whether you can see 2 or 10.
No.
It's about the actual effects it has on you and Michael.
Yeah, and like we moved out here in the first place for the peace, and I've got decibel readings here without turbines operational, which is 17 dB, and you can't hear anything but animals and the birds and all that sort of thing. And now we've just constantly got this whooshing and droning, and you're constantly feeling sick from the things.
I don't know whether people will pick it up, but you can hear them in the background now, and they are, but that one's about 1 kilometre away, the nearest one.
Yeah.
So the effects...
That's quiet.
Yeah, well, I think the wind's actually blowing that way, and we can still hear it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The effects on your husband in particular?
Yeah. And so there's been a few times, and we had the EPA came out here and they interviewed like a number of the neighbours in the up the road with the effects that it's been having on them as well. And Michael had actually said to him he's running out of places to hide. And that's what worries me, because even the mental health impacts on people, and that's why I sort of stepped in. One day I came out, couldn't find him, and radio turned up full bore at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, what is going on? Turn the radio down, I'm calling, and I found him in a distressed state at the back of the sheds. So when that's happening in your house because of some industrial development that should never be put in rural community areas, then I'll get me back up.
Yeah.
And I'm not stopping.
No.
Because there is so many people, as you found out last night. We had people from Tumut, Bathurst, Taralga, like they were coming from everywhere to hear from professional people who know what they're talking about. True experts that know what they're talking about. And we've been blessed, like those people are actually trying to support us in the background as well. And I could emails, phone calls, you know, whatever. They're just providing me with information that's supporting so many people. Yeah.
We've only spent 24 hours or so with you, but having met yourself and Michael in particular, you can tell he's an outside bloke, right? Everything about his life is outdoors.
I know.
He wouldn't be in the house at all. So to have this must be absolutely devastating.
And it is. And there's other farmers that have actually spoken to me that have said they go outside to hop on the tractor, and even over the tractor they're still hearing that woof, woof, woof sort of noise that's coming through, and it's vibrating through your body, that they end up with severe headaches and they can't stay out any more than an hour. These guys are normally, you know, crack of dawn to dark before they're going inside. Yep. And Michael's always the same, like he's out in the shed playing with his cars, restoring cars and all that sort of thing to, you know, it's just devastating to watch the impact on people.
Yeah, absolutely. How would you describe your dealings with the Renewables Company? We get that laugh a lot, don't we, when we ask what it's like?
Sorry about that. Not good. Yep. Not good. And it's like they send out salesmen, you know, and we're here and here's this highly polished, you know, project that, you know, there is no, and all you're going to see is 45-metre towers, same as what we've got at Crookwell 1. These things ended up 157, Crookwell 2's 157, yet the whole time we were led to believe that they were going to be same as Crookwell 1, which is 45-metre towers.
And never told you anything different?
Never told us anything different.
And you'll only see 2? Yep.
And that we would only see 2 off to the northwest, which is over this direction for those people.
Well, we can see 8 just behind us, and then there's another 3 over there.
Yep. And you will see the tracks up the top there.
Yep.
So that's transmission towers now. So we're going to have 70 or 80 metre transmission towers going through the same area.
Wow. And that's not that far away, is it?
No, because that would be probably 1.5 kilometres because the closest turbine from Crookwell 2 is 2.4 kilometres from the house. And even with Crookwell 2, because we were hearing this thumping noise coming through of a night time into the bedroom and you just couldn't get any sleep at all. And then they went, we can give you money for trees and whatever to mitigate the visual, and still denying anything about noise. And then they said it was some gearbox issue or something. And we looked and went, we've got 50-foot pines.
Yeah.
They're not stopping it.
No. So the EPA came in, the EPA said they were going to do a study.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got them to come out. They spoke to a lot of neighbours. While they were with us, they got a 56.4 decibel dBA reading. And they were just, the gobsmacked themselves at the time and said, we need to do testing out here. But then they read, obviously, the report that came back from the company's acoustics firm that they used to do a test, and went, no, they, as far as it goes with the guidelines, they comply. These guidelines are 2009 South Australian guidelines. When you'd be looking at 45-metre towers, not these monstrosities that are here now, and that are going up, 200. Some areas are looking at 300-metre towers.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's crazy.
Now, they also said that there's no scientific proof that infrasound or vibrations affects humans, so that wasn't looked at all.
No, it's not part of any of the regulations and guidelines that they have to do through planning, which is an absolute disgrace because the governments have known about this prior to the 80s.
Yeah.
That this thing really exists.
It was weaponised in the 60s. The US, China and Russia weaponised infrasound, so we know it's real.
Exactly. Yeah. So why isn't it being used here for these things?
Yeah.
These things are going to end up hurting people and killing people. It's already hurting animals, and you're looking at the wildlife that's being killed through impacts with the blades and all that sort of stuff. This needs to stop, and it needs to be thoroughly investigated before they go any further with any more development. So and it needs to be independently done.
Yeah, well, the independence is the key word. There's no point going from the reports of companies.
Exactly.
Even your dog was affected when the first tower went up.
Yeah.
A dog that was an outdoor dog.
Outdoor dog. I have this saying that, and I've shown pictures to everyone before, that wherever he goes, she goes, because she would just be beside Michael the whole time and she went missing and we're like, that's unusual, what's going on? He was about to look, and she was frozen in the laundry and she was drooling and just like this, wobbling like side to side. And I said to him, I think it's going to be vibrations. I think it's these things vibrating through the ground. And I downloaded a Japanese construction app that they do use in Japan on construction, followed the directions, set it all up, did the testing, and it was showing 10 times the regulated vibrations allowed on construction sites coming through our ground.
Crikey.
Yeah, which is then where I went, I'm going to have to look into this. And then I got the research from the Virgo Gravitational Observatory from Italy, which they had a similar issue with their site that was coming off a new wind farm that had been 11 kilometres away, and they were experiencing all the interference with their specialised equipment. There's something to these people that you're not listening to the community.
No, exactly. Yeah. So there's a lot of proposed wind farms all around Australia, or wind tower projects. Shouldn't call them farms. What would your advice be to anybody who's thinking about being a host or having one positioned near their property?
They really need to look into it. And I know people say that these hosts that, they're all happy and that sort of stuff. Yeah, they've probably got a hell of a lot of money. And to be quite honest, like when they first told us like that they were doing these developments, I was like, it was in the middle of the drought back years ago that there was talk of this. And I'm like, good way to drought-proof your property, income coming in when you're losing stock and feed and all that sort of thing. But that money that they're providing you will not cover what it will cost you to actually, A, get rid of the things afterwards, and then you're stuck with concrete in the ground for starters, because they're not going to dig up, hundreds of tons of concrete.
Yeah.
But also, some of those guys are actually being impacted, but because they've got the money that they've got, they're not actually talking about it openly, that, yep, okay, I made a mistake, these things are making me crook as well. If that's happening here, you imagine something 500 metres away from your house.
Yeah. It's interesting that when we were talking to people last night, a lot of people said that the host properties aren't actually lived on. So there's no impact on the people that live in Sydney but own that land, or live in Canberra and own that land. So no wonder they've taken the money.
Yep, dead set.
So
both
again,
the owners of these two don't live here.
there. So again, it's the Renewables Company being smart enough to find the weakest link and put their...
Yep. And the other thing that annoys me big time is that farmer's property's way over there, and yet they sit on everybody else's boundaries.
Borders. Yeah.
Is where they've placed them. So everywhere you look in every development, it's virtually, we'll push it as far away from our house as possible.
Yeah.
You can annoy the neighbours, but don't annoy us.
Yeah.
So, it's stressful times.
It is.
But we're not going to stop, and communities coming together and guys like you to support us.
Great turnout last night. It was amazing to see the town come together, and it was a long meeting and they stayed to the end.
Which was great.
Yeah, it was absolutely awesome. Anything you'd like to add that we haven't?
Look, I think it's more that the government needs to start really realising that people aren't complaining about health issues just to make a nuisance of themselves. It is because these health issues actually do exist. I've worked in community services for 30 plus years, supporting people through droughts and mental health, everything else. These people are genuine in their stress. You've got people, and I know there's been conversations with the guys from Victoria where 14 people have taken their lives because you're putting industrial developments on their properties.
Yep.
This has got to stop. It's becoming a national disaster.
Yeah. And it's only going to get worse.
Yep.
Yeah. What happens in 25 years when they don't work anymore?
Yeah.
They're going to get rebuilt somewhere else. They're not going to get taken down.
No, well, and see, there's the other thing, because they can't use the same concrete slab.
No, they've got to go to a different location.
These things vibrate where people have to come and actually tighten up the bolts on the ground. So there's going to be just potholes of concrete all over the countryside.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure.
And thanks for inviting us up.
Time.
It was terrific last night. And some of the expert testimonial we heard was unbelievable. It was incredible. So thank you.
No dramas.
There's so much we can talk about from that chat, mate, but let's focus on health, because the people that we saw, nearly all of them had health issues, whether they be mental or physical, from what was going on around them. I can't help but think back 7 years ago, we all had to get a vaccine because health was the number one priority.
For the good of our health.
Yeah. Now, 7 years on, net zero is a priority and health no longer matters.
Health can just shove.
Yep.
Yeah. The priorities have completely changed. I mean, as you say, 7 years ago, it's for your health. This is for the good of the nation. This is for old people. Protect your old people. And if you don't get it, then you're evil and whatnot and all that bloody crap.
Yep.
But, when it comes to this, they don't want to look at it.
No.
They don't want to see that because it doesn't go with their agenda.
They won't even study it.
No.
They won't even accept that these people are telling the truth.
Yep. They already know infrasound, it's been weaponized.
Yes.
But they don't want to listen to this.
They won't, there was people that had bronchial effects.
And I didn't even realise that was an effect until that lady scientist was talking about it. Yeah, Mariana,
was talking about it.
The amount of things...
Same with cardiological. I mean, you just don't expect your heart to age faster by being around this infrasound.
It's just crazy, man. The amount of things that are related to things that can happen where you can get damaged by this infrasound, it's it was a real eye-opener. Yeah. A real eye-opener.
Absolute nuts. Yep. And then there's the financial effects where some people, hosts or neighbours, have signed deals with wind farm companies. We had 3 or 4 people talk to us about it. Signed deals years ago and still haven't received a cent.
No, that is
At all.
no.
Let alone part of what they're owed.
So compensation, what does that really mean? You're getting bugger all.
They're getting stuff all.
See, that's where I think the government, because they've stuck them there.
Yeah.
So they should have something they should be up for that. If this wind company aren't paying them the money, the government should say, fair's fair. You guys promised them. We're going to pay them and you're going to pay us.
Problem is they've already given the money to the wind farm company.
Yeah.
There was even talks of people being threatened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's one person who will be a neighbour to a proposed farm who's holding out, and nobody knows where the threats have come from, but that person has received death threats either from hosts or from renewables companies. And the problem is some of these hosts over 25 years are being offered $50 million.
Yeah, that's nuts, isn't it?
So if they're going to get blocked for getting that money because a neighbour objects, that's $50 million that farmer misses out on.
Yeah.
Who knows what they're going to do for it?
It's a lot
This
of money.
is where greed becomes,
paramount in this whole charade. It's awful.
It is, exactly right.
Puts neighbour against neighbour, you know?
And then, of course, you find that the renewables companies are just searching for the weakest link.
Oh. They make car salesmen look like good people, don't they?
exactly
It's
right.
like they're awful.
Yeah, well, they go and find land where the hosts don't live.
Yeah.
And they start from there and it spreads from there.
And isn't it funny how most of these wind turbines aren't, or the ones we were looking at, weren't really that close to the host's farmhouse or house or whatever.
If there was a house at all on the property.
And they were all sort of pushed out
To the boundary.
to the edges where all the neighbours were.
Yeah.
It was like, what the hell?
Yeah,
That was
exactly right.
really, that was a bit of an eye-opener as well.
The other point you got to take from everybody's chat that we had, not listening, not communicating, no consultation, just ignoring and telling lies.
Oh,
It's the same message
everywhere we
right
go.
through this renewable industry, mate.
Yep.
And it's the same. Yeah. People just laugh when you say, how's your relationship with your renewables?
Yeah, because there is none.
There's-
Literally no relationship.
Cannot trust these people at all. The last point we'll make on this is no politician showed up. So, yeah, Michael McCormack, who is the local representative for the Nationals,
Yep.
didn't show up. Angus Taylor, who leads the Liberal parties, he's the next shire over. He's the next,
Yep.
next area over. He borders on this area. And the state representative, Wendy Tuckerman, didn't show up either and didn't respond. So those 3 who are Nationals and Liberals should be fronting up
Yep.
to hear what the people are saying, but they don't care, mate.
Yeah. Well, you can see why One Nation are going to steal their votes.
Yeah.
With an attitude like that.
Well, the people we spoke to on this weekend and the people we talked to in regional Victoria, I feel for the Nationals. Well, I don't feel for them. The Nationals are going to get decimated, mate.
Yeah, completely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Liberals will as well. I don't think the Nationals will walk away from the Victorian election later this year with a single seat.
Mm.
From the experts and what they were telling us, right through to the witness testimony of the locals, what they're feeling, seeing, hearing, and the consequences on their lives.
Yeah, it was awful. Absolutely awful.
So stand by, guys. There's a whole lot more to come on this, from expert testimony to people being threatened with their livelihoods and lives, through to these renewable companies making promises that they just do not stand by.
And just the audacity, like, just keep lying and just for the sake of a sale or just to get one over these people. It's just awful.
It is.
Really terrible.
They don't care. And then, of course, they sell it and sell it and sell it and sell it. And by the time...
And they don't get held accountable for.
No.
They don't have to, like, pay anything for being complete in our arseholes.
Yep.
They
Exactly
just
right.
are.
Yep. And then, of course, you hear that there's a capital gains tax further concession now for international renewables companies. They're not going to have to pay capital gains tax till 2030. Why should they get a break over Australians?
Yep,
They're
exactly.
not even Australian companies, mate.
It's typical.
Yeah.
We get shafted and anybody else from outside gets looked after.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wrong.
Yeah. All right, everyone, let us know what you think. A lot more to come on this. And over the next 6 to 8 weeks, we'll slowly put more information out. And every interview we do will be shown in full. And you'll get to see just how these people are coping or not coping. And the message is clear, right? If you've got one coming to an area near you,
fight it.
Fight it. Exactly right.
All right. Good on you guys.
See ya.
See ya.